And by the winner of the Bush Pole Award, Jimmie Johnson, driver of the number 48 Ally Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. Congratulations, Jimmie.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Please raise your hand and we'll get to you. Go right over here to the right.
Rob Tiang from the podiumfinish.net. Jimmie, congratulations on your pole.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure it has to be a relieving feeling knowing how it's been kind of a tough start for Hendrick Motorsports as a whole. So how encouraged are you about this performance, and do you think this will translate to race day for you guys?
Yeah, we'll see on race day. I mean, I feel like over my career, good Fridays mean good Sundays. So thankful to have just raw speed in the car, and I really think it's that. And we'll have to see how it works in traffic. I think Las Vegas, we had a car capable of really performing well on Friday, and we got in race conditions and dirty air and didn't have exactly what we needed. But to have all three cars, up there, top three positions, and I think Alex would have been right there in the mix too if he didn't have his troubles in round one, is saying a lot. I mean, the work that went into these cars, the work that's gone into honestly, the last 36 months, and we're not out of the woods yet, but this is a very good weekend for us to really build on our mile-and-a-half program, and I think we're off to a great start.
We'll go right down here to Jeff.
I'm guessing this probably had to be a tough week for you after Martinsville, because it seemed like a low for things that happened recently. So what
No way, man. I had so much support on social media.
I'm
There's so
sure.
many nice people
Yeah,
talking about me and my talents and
right.
how good of a driver I am and how young I am. It was a great week.
So that said, what was the week like for you to go through that, to have those meetings with your team and things like that? I mean, obviously it ends well here and on a high note, but what was that like those last few days?
Yeah, I mean, Sunday, and then into Monday was tough. But every time I check in at the shop to see where things are at, and we're just forced to move on. That was a short track, and they're working real hard to get the cars in the truck to come here. So we debriefed, we downloaded, we worked through it. I spent some time talking to the other crew chiefs and their opinion of what could have gone wrong for my car, or the 3 of the 4 cars in general. I think we've got some great notes, and I think last weekend we're guilty of just maybe trying too hard with the setup of the car, and we haven't had what we have wanted there in a while, and maybe we're just too aggressive. Qualified decent, practiced decent, but when the rubber laid down in the race, we're just way off. So with that in mind, we kind of told ourselves maybe let's not be so aggressive, and then we completely changed our concept and ideas of what we were going to bring here and stayed aggressive, and it paid off. So still have the race ahead of us. We'll see where that pans out. But our struggles have been highly frustrating just because of the effort that's gone into it. And thankfully, we're having a car shine on certain weeks, and we're able to learn from that and try to find our way. And we're off to a good start this weekend.
Are there any other questions for Jimmie? We'll go right here to Bob in the front.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. I mean, obviously, as the poll winner, you're happy with the way this ended up. But I mean, was that good? And like, if they keep officiating with the being a little maybe murky of what you can do and what you can't do, leaving pit road, is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all knew that there would be some challenges with this rules package. We all know that for television, we don't want single car. I mean, we're just dealing with some issues that we're all trying to work through collectively, and I think NASCAR's trying to keep them open-minded. They don't want to overreact. We're competitors, so we're trying to work the system the best we can. If rulings come down, I think we're just going to have to be open-minded to it. But I think once you get in that final round, at least this is what happened in California. If you're like, man, 12th, it's either 12th or the pole. I mean, you make that final round, you're going to risk it all. And today, that waiting game certainly was going on. I'm not sure where the 41 ended up, but he's shot out there 4th. So that's why it's so hard. It's so hard for NASCAR to pick a way to call this or how to officiate it. It seems like single car would have worked just fine. But we don't know that until now, right? So it's just tricky, and I appreciate the fans being open-minded to this as it evolves, and teams, NASCAR, media. It's just a moving target. We know it's not ideal, but we're all trying to make the most of it.
We'll go right over here to the middle again, then to Dustin.
Rob Young of the PuddingFish.net. Jimmie, knowing that this is kind of like another race with the new package, do you kind of view this as the real first test to see how things would be gauged at other tracks like a Charlotte and Kentucky? And secondly, I would have to imagine, like, also too, seeing how you've gotten the pole, do you think this will kind of reunite the Chevrolet teams to work closer together?
And we're win, lose, or draw. Our relationships on the manufacturer side are what they are. It's hard to say that they could be more because they've been heavily aligned and working together. So we continue to find out how to reallocate assets and to work closer together. So there is an evolution that happens, but the Chevy teams have been doing the most that they can together, especially when it comes to the shape of the car and the body and submission processes. So our next step is to try to figure out how we make sure that the next generation car is the best that it can be. We don't have a ton of time to get that. I think in July that one goes in for submission. So we're working hard on that. But what was the first part of the question? Oh, mile and a half tracks. I feel like Atlanta was the one that was kind of an outlier, but with with Vegas and with the Vegas race taking place, that was really the first true test, in my opinion. And what we had there didn't work, and we're totally different here.
We'll come down here to Dustin, and then right in the back.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Jimmie, do you feel with this group qualifying format, especially where drafting is important at these tracks, is it close and just needs a couple more changes to get right, or is this thing just way off from your perspective?
I think it's close. We're having a hard time running flat in 1 and 2. And that's all the difference in the world you need. If there's a lift, I think single car qualifying really becomes a priority for the teams. Fontana is a bit different because the straightaways are so dang long, so much real estate. So I think Fontana and Michigan are kind of the two outliers. Vegas, I think the RCR cars were the fastest in single. They did single car. The rest of us were drafting. So I think we're close, honestly. And there might just be those 2-mile tracks that maybe need a little different qualifying set of rules.
What could be different? For Michigan, obviously, there's time between now and then, but what could be different?
It's like a 3 or 4-edged sword, because first reaction is single car. Well, if we do single car, the teams now are going to work so hard to make the cars slippery for single car that it's just 4 or 5 times the work to go from qualifying trim to race trim. Maybe if it's single car and impound, if you've got to race what you qualified, that could be a way to control that a bit more. So that would be a suggestion to consider for Michigan.
Go right to the back. Sorry, I can't see. And then down here to Lee.
Dominic Ottagona with the Racing Experts. Just want to get your thoughts on 37th career pole that ties Rex White and Rusty Wallace on the all-time pole list. Just want to get your thoughts on that.
That's cool. I both those names, I'm fans of both of them. Very honored to be in that category with them and tying them. It's crazy that I've had so many more race wins than poles. Fridays, and trying to squeeze out that last half a tenth has never really been my strength as a driver. It's always been racing and racing other cars. But to keep chipping away at it and have 37 poles is something that's really cool. And this one comes at an important time when our company and my race team needed a nice shot in the arm.
We'll come down here to Lee, and then in the back again.
Lee Spencer, RacingBoys.com. Just curious as far as how are you guys approaching this car? I mean, clearly we've seen a big change here at Texas. You guys have had time after the West Coast swing to be working on the cars, but is this a group effort at Hendrick Motorsports where the 4 teams are working all together, or are you guys kind of going in different directions with your setups?
Yeah, I feel like depending on the week and the experience we had the week before, it just kind of changes around. I mean, I think Phoenix, we were all really close together and we all performed very well. Martinsville, there were some big differences in the setups of the cars, old ideas on the, on some cars, new ideas on others. We're just trying. One week we think we need to stay closer together and we can move the ball further down the field that way, and other weeks we think we need to be different. Kevin's in a tough spot because he doesn't have any of his own notes personally. Plus, there's so many different rules packages to play with here. So, I don't envy Kevin's position. I think he's doing a great job managing and handling it. And this week, I think, was probably one of the biggest tests that he's had so far, and maybe in his career after such a tough race in Martinsville, and to rally through it as he did, lead everybody, calm everyone down, get stuff buttoned up and in line, and be at the top of the board today in every session. It was pretty amazing. He was able to have that kind of composure and hold it all together.
And can you talk a little bit about the training that you've been doing for the marathon, and how much time are you dedicating to that on a weekly basis?
It's probably an hour most days, and maybe 2 days with an hour and a half to 2 hours for a run, just to get the mileage in. A lot less than what I've done in years past when I was trying out with, or when I was trying to do triathlons and some of the cycling events I've done. Running is much more efficient, and you can get a lot done in a shorter period of time. And I'm thankful that the bulk of my mileage is behind me, and I'm in a process that's called tapering. So this week the mileage cuts back, next week even more, and then the following week, I think we race then, or the marathon is then. So right now I've tore the body down, and now it's time to kind of rebuild and rehydrate and just get ready and heal up, and then run my 26.2 on April 15th. I do. I feel good. I had 4 months of training for it, and I lost a month with injuries and a cold. So I know that's going to affect my my goal in a sense. But to go run such a major event on Patriots Day, and what I hear about the experience that I'm going to go through, I'm just excited to have that, that chance, and thankful to Gatorade Endurance is getting me into the event and supporting me as they are. It's going to be a fun day. Thanks.
We'll go in the back, and then right up here in the front.
Dwayne Horner with DFW Sports. Talk about just the atmosphere at Texas to Win, the cowboy hat, shooting the guns, and what that's like, and how you'd love to be there this weekend.
Yeah, as you say that, I'm looking over your shoulder to a picture of us after a win. It's a great time, especially when it's cool out and those flames are up in the air. I remember winning one race here, I guess after they repaved it, and I was pretty exhausted, and I asked them to turn the flames off. It was so hot in Victory Lane. But the hat, the 6 shooters, just the experience here, it's always a lot of fun. The track does a great job of promoting us as sports, us as individual drivers, and the success I've had here. And my wife growing up not far away in Oklahoma, there's kind of not a hometown feel, but there's certainly a lot of people paying attention to my career and what I do here. So great energy, and I really love coming and racing here.
We'll come over here to your left, Jimmy.
Elliot Stern, Santa Maria Times. Is it nerve-wracking sitting there watching the clock, waiting for somebody to tell you to go, and just racing for a minute or minute and a half at the very end of the session?
Yeah, it is really weird. You've got to be on your toes, and things continue to change. The longer I'm in the sport, the more it changes. So you just have to keep an open mind and be observant, study. Make sure you show up at the track prepared, and with these different packages, it's tricky because there's different things to make the car go at Phoenix or Martinsville than here, and even how to fall into a hole in qualifying and get the right draft to try to get to the top of the board.